I don't want to do this, but I have to. I just have to. I've got my drink right here, which should help ease the pain. So without further ado...
Assassin's Creed Syndicate is the latest entry in Ubisoft's long-running open-world franchise. And although the gameplay is exactly what you'd expect from an Assassin's Creed game, Syndicate distinguishes itself from its predecessors.
Oh, and I have to be the one that says it because she won't, and why would she, not being a real gamer? This video contains spoilers for Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
So it's not exactly a fandom. I'm not a fan of video games. I actually had to learn a lot about video games in the process of making this.
It stands apart not because of improved mechanics or visual design, but because its developers have made noticeable attempts to portray a more inclusive cast of characters. Syndicate follows twin assassins Jacob and Evie Fry on their quest to liberate the oppressed working class of 19th century London.
Oppressed? You said oppressed? Without a trigger warning? What kind of sick game are you playing with your fragile audience?
From ruling class thug Crawford Starrick and free the city from the Templars' control. It's clear that Starrick is a monster from the first moment we see him because of his evil mustache and his penchant for punching desks.
Are you sure he just doesn't punch things because he's a man? All them violent men's. Why the fuck am I doing this? I'm already pissed off.
Preceding the release of last year's Unity, Ubisoft came under intense public criticism for its repeated lack of playable female characters in the core games.
Yeah, it's not keeping with the traditions of the era, right? Making it more historically accurate or anything. Rather than playing a game from 2015 with female lead characters like Gigantic, Mass Effect Andromeda, Mirror's Edge, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Horizon Zero Dawn, Michonne from The Walking Dead, Recore, Tacoma, just to name a few. Not to mention all the games you can play where you can choose to be male or female. But you have to review a game which have male-only playable characters, which is accurate in a broader historical context. Ask the authors of these games to rewrite the story which they may have already planned out just because you stamped your feet holding up the victim card.
Syndicate is a clear response to gamers' increased desire for more capable and powerful female options.
Nope, it's a response to your hate campaign to see more female characters in games with only male characters. Wouldn't it be equal as well to want to see more male characters in women-only games?
Promotional materials for the game emphasize Jacob as the primary protagonist, leaving some wondering just how big a role Evie would play.
I highly doubt you'd be happy with any amount of screen time unless it was all of the screen time.
Players are given the choice to alternate between the siblings while navigating Syndicate's open world. Sadly, as the larger story unfolds, Jacob's narrative dominates, meaning that if players don't actively choose to play as Evie in side missions, they don't engage with her very often.
But they added the option of the woman so you could choose to play the... I just don't even know anymore. Someone hold me.
It's frustrating that the story focuses increasingly on Jacob as it approaches the end, not only because having the twins be truly equal protagonists would have been rare and significant, but also because Evie is easily the more compelling of the two.
Because she has a vagina? Or what's your argument here?
There was a slight complication.
How slight?
The lab exploded.
Jacob.
You derailed a train.
Oh, he did. Did he?
Well, the train derailed and I happened to be on it.
Jacob is arrogant, pompous, and quick to action without understanding the consequences.
This kind of thing makes a storyline fun though, even more so in a game like Assassin's Creed. It's a game where you just fuck with shit and sometimes the arrogant characters can be the most engaging. Everyone loves a badass character. If you wanted a game where you make calculated choices, then play Civilization or something.
While Evie is charismatic, focused, intelligent, and forced to clean up her brother's messes.
So this woman is a strong and capable character, and you're using this as ammunition to berate the male character, because the woman is powerful and capable. And because of that, you can't fucking win with these people. It's a slippery slope. She will never, ever be happy. And whenever you give ground to these people, you just strengthen their hand. She'll only ever stop when there are no males left in the industry, and all AAA games are ball-chopping simulators.
Evie is not objectified. She is not sexualized, and she is not created exclusively for the sexual arousal of a presumed straight male audience.
Yeah, but she isn't 300 pounds, so fat-shaming or something. And just because you look like a foot doesn't mean you have to be so irritated when a collection of pixels are prettier than you are, sweetheart.
She's dressed appropriately. Her fighting moves are not sexualized.
Dressed appropriately. So in your perfect feminist world, all the women are wearing these gigantic black clothes with only their faces showing. It sounds kind of familiar to somewhere oppressive where women are forced to live like that. Does anyone remember where that is?
Evie doesn't feel like a male character who was a last-minute gender swap, but like she was developed from the ground up with a strong, capable, and spirited personality.
Yeah, because male characters can't possibly have them traits, right? Only women can be strong and intelligent people.
A humanized playable female protagonist isn't the only thing that distinguishes Syndicate from its predecessors.
Ta-ta! What an odd man.
We meet an amusing cast of historical characters such as Karl Marx, Florence Nightingale, and a charming Alexander Graham Bell. But Evie and Jacob's allies also include Henry Green, a British Indian assassin, and Ned Weinert, a successful thief who just happens to be a trans man, and no one in the world thinks anything of it. These characters play supporting or minor roles, but their inclusion is notable. While it might seem unrealistic to imagine women, people of color, and trans folks who are treated and respected as full human beings in 1868...
Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely fucking kidding me? These things set it apart from the other games today. Okay, let's look at this step by step. You meet a ton of historical characters throughout the Assassin's Creed games. That's one of its selling points. An Indian character. Need I remind you, the first Assassin's Creed game was set in the fucking Middle East. And a trans man, right? Overlooking for the moment that the 19th century was rife with persecution of gay people. In the previous Assassin's Creed title, we met Leonardo da Vinci, who historians are pretty sure was gay, and that was mentioned in the game as well. I saw this comment on GameRanks, and I'll leave a link to the article below. My problem with things like this are when studios try and use inclusivity as a selling point. If they truly cared, they should just include the character in the game and let some players find them for themselves. But coming out and saying, hey, look at this insert marginalised person we put in our game, aren't we great? Just feels gross to me, like they're a commodity for sale.
Realism is not really the goal in a game where assassins and Templars have been waging a centuries-old war over artifacts created by an ancient civilization.
Of course a realistic vibe isn't what they're going for. That's why they spent so much money hiring people to make the game look as good as it does, or using actual historical characters. I'm happy the game is more inclusive in those terms, but don't tell flat-out lies that they're not going for realism. It just makes you look like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Realism isn't the goal. Fucking really.
Throughout this world, I quickly noticed a significant number of female combatants, goading you into battle with the same tenacity and strength as their male counterparts.
So I guess it's not as realistic as its older games then after all. It's well established that men are physically stronger than women. To represent them in that regard is just dishonest. It's like portraying men as pregnant. It's just biology. So what I'm taking away from this so far is that it's an unrealistic game, not going for realism in any way, where trans folk are equals and women are powerful and intelligent. We're doing well so far, Anita.
Syndicate also addresses a criticism that I've leveled at the series in the past: the presence of prostitutes who could be recruited as cover to help its male protagonists blend in. I kept waiting for these bundles of objectified women to appear on every corner, but Ubisoft has completely removed this blending in mechanic, and with it, its troubling portrayals of women as non-playable sex objects.
How dare they make this very useful game mechanic of blending in and helping players so freely available on the street. And it's a mechanic that's been in and out of the different versions of the game. I can't remember exactly what games had it and what games didn't, because it's been a long time since I've played them. I think the second game did have it, but I'm not sure if the third game did. My point is the mechanic's been in and out. It probably hasn't been taken out just for you.
Women may be present as soldiers and leaders throughout the criminal ranks of Syndicate's London, but the same cannot be said for people of color. Despite the presence of Henry Green, this is an overwhelmingly white game. It's a huge missed opportunity for Syndicate, which could have taken the same approach to people of color that it took to women, making their presence in gangs and throughout the factories and palaces of London just a normalized, internally consistent aspect of the game's world.
Do you remember what I said? Do you remember? She'll never be happy. Strong women, trans character, Indian character. Nope, not progressive enough. It's worth noting that The Guardian called this game a historic failure. I didn't read the entire article, but I'll link it below so you can pick through it. There's another 4 minutes or so of the video that I won't bother playing you. She just moans about how shit the game is, almost like an actual review. But all the mistakes she made in talking about the game and the previous games led me to one inescapable conclusion. She didn't play the game herself, and she got someone else to play it and tell her what to say. And they were shit. But either way, thank you for your time.